Today we're wrapping up season 6 of this franchise, and to kick things off, we've got some September call-ups to do, and I think the first one is Chet Rodriguez here, and I think the reason I want to call him up is because he does have left field as that secondary position, and he can provide us with some power, and I really just have not liked what I've seen at all from Aldon Evans this season, and I want somebody to replace him. I also want to add another pitcher with some long-term upside into the rotation for the month of September. Esteban Acevedo is exactly that guy on a hot streak, has played excellently at the AA level this season. He will be making his MLB debut this episode. And typically you just have the two guys, but there is somebody else I want to call up, despite the fact that he is on a cold streak. I think Blake Boyer, it's about time we call him up as well. Doing that means, of course, that I'll have to send somebody down from our MLB roster, and we'll probably just send down Benito Vasquez, the guy who will be replaced by Boyer in the lineup. And so we've got a few lineup updates to do. Gonna add Boyer in at second base, and we're gonna add Chet Rodriguez as left field for the remainder of this season. See if that can help boost our offense at all. And then pitching wise, definitely want to get Esteban Acevedo somewhere in this lineup. Wills. I think I've been calling him Reed Willis this whole time. It's only Wills. Okay, good to know. Esteban Acevedo will be added into the lineup here. So, there you have it. We're 54-80 heading into September here. He is going to play his first game here on September 1st, but I kind of want to maybe see his second game as it is against a division rival. So we will get through to this Kansas City Royals game, and then we'll see Esteban Acevedo's second start at the MLB level. Lost his first one, didn't look like it went too well for him. 1-1 through the first two games of this Royals series, and whoever's lost has been shut out both games so far. Hopefully that's not the case this time around, at least if we're going to be the ones losing it. 57-82. Didn't expect this first season to go well, but even so, it's disappointing to see a team that we've gotten accustomed to being, a very winning team. But they were winning when winning was a lot more easy. We've promoted to the bigs. Going to be a very tough challenge, as we're seeing here. We're probably not even just a year away either. We're probably still multiple seasons to go here in this franchise, which is perfectly fine by me. I'm still having a lot of fun with it. Carl McIntyre going to lead off this game with some pop. He gets that one deep into the outfield, up against the wall, and he's going to be going for 3 here. He's going to get it easily, not even going to attempt the throw. So a leadoff triple to start this game. Jason Gill down the third base line. He's going to get himself out, but he does bring across that McIntyre run. Did not take long for us to score here. And we're going to take a look at the stats at the end of this episode. But here's a little bit of a sneak peek as to how the home runs are looking for this team as we start September. Rincon, the lazy fly ball, is going to get him out, bringing up Russell Mosqueda, who strikes out on the low circle curve. Strong start from Lacey. Apart from, the leadoff triple. Brandon Marsh leading off for the Royals is going to strike out. Did not take long to get that first MLB strikeout from the Spotlight games, of course. I'm sure he got one in his September 1st start. Pop out into fly territory, handled by Kevin Sandoval, but could not go 1, 2, 3 in this first inning, as he's going to allow a 4-pitch walk to Luis Arias. Ian Happ, very familiar with him on this channel, part of our Las Vegas Athletics team and was the postseason MVP of our World Series season. But a strong start to this inning is going very much so awry for Esteban Acevedo here. Probably has that 99 clutch, and he is going to get it through the infield here. Royals want 2 on this, and they're not going to get it. We get Hap on his way home. So it will be a tied ball game at 1 apiece after the first inning. Sandoval goes to Arias, out to start the second. Roman, a curveball just left right over the middle, and he strikes out on it. That's not something you love to see. Rodriguez actually hit that one pretty well into the outfield, but couldn't find the gap with it. So a quiet second for our Chicago White Sox. Yu Chang, with 1 out here in the bottom of the second, is going to get on base for the single. Wilson Contreras up next. That's a generous call on the strikeout. I'll take it. Sometimes with these high velocity pitchers, the ump can't really see the strike zone maybe as well. And so we get those generous calls from time to time. Also, I know the K/9 rating has a big effect on getting those generous strike zone calls. Esteban Acevedo able to get a clean second. Boyer, one of our September call-ups, he's going to ground out here in his first AB of the game. Victor Benitez gets a little bloop single with 1 out top of the third, and the order will flip over. And going for the steal is Benitez, but he is thrown out by Contreras. Doesn't even leave his knees to throw out. McIntyre lifts it to left, and it is going to find itself down on the grass before Hap could chase it down. Jason Gill trying to keep things going in the inning, but Arias flashes the glove. Gets him out. Another scoreless inning for us. Borderline pitch there, called for a ball, and Arias has walked twice in this game. Ian Happ. That is going to be a double play out of the third. Gotta love the double play. And both teams really just keeping pace with each other. Both teams scored 1 in the first, and both teams scoreless in the second and the third. Really even box score through 3. And we start to break away in the fourth. Alberto Rincon's going to start it off nicely off the glove of Ian Happ. Going to settle just for 1, though, on that hit. Mosquera. He strikes out for the second time. Not his best game by any means, as I'm trying to fight through a yawn there. Sandoval is going to be out via fielder's choice. He's not going to be out, but he's not going to get the hit as it is a fielder's choice. And then Darren Roman strikes out looking. Nothing doing for us in the fourth. Can Esteban Acevedo keep the Royals off the board? Fly ball to start it off to Vinny Pascantino. Bringing up MJ Melendez, who crushes this ball deep to right, and it is gone. The Royals take their first lead here in the fourth with 2 outs. That's the one rating with Esteban Acevedo that you have to be worried about in terms of him having early success with this call-up in September and presumably playing for us again next year at the MLB level. His home runs per 9, not exactly in the best spot. That is his one weakness. Coming to play early on here for him. Keeping things chugging along here, we got Yu Chang. And he's going to be out, so that'll be all she wrote for the fourth, the solo home run, the only run of the inning. Chet Rodriguez not having his best game here. As he goes down looking in the fifth, bringing up Boyer, also going down looking. What is up with this team, man? It seems like we're striking out much more than usual. At least he's a good pitcher, don't get me wrong, but I mean, come on. Victor Benitez, though, cranks to left, and that one's over the wall. A solo home run to tie things up. Not your likely source of power, as we see just his 6th home run of the year, and he's been playing the entirety of this year. But I'll take it. Tie this game up 2 apiece. Benitez. Definitely the name of his game is his defense. If you can occasionally provide us with the hits and even the home runs, got a chance. I mean, I've been looking for a replacement for him for it seems like a while, and I just can't find it. So he's the guy until further notice at that shortstop spot. Strikeout, though, would end the 5th for us. Now, bottom 5, Brandon Marsh is going to get that one down just in fair territory. So an extra base hit with 1 down, bottom of the 5th. 45th double for Marsh on this season. Nicky Lopez to Rincon, flips it to Acevedo, who will cover the bag. Does advance the runner to third, but with 2 outs. All we need is to get Arias out, something we haven't done so far this game, but we'll do it here. Almost thought we were going to walk him for a 3rd time there. Rincon, right to Arias on the other end. So 6 looking like it's going to be another quiet one for us is the 3rd strikeout for Mosquera. Easily the worst game of the spotlight games we've seen from him. He's usually our best hitter in these spotlight games, and he's probably been our worst today. Fernando Bruno would come in to relieve Esteban Acevedo in the 6th. Esteban Acevedo, his performance was pretty good. Obviously wasn't spectacular by any means, but he did get his pitch count up there, so he could only last 5 innings. Darren Roman, much better start to the month of September than he had in August, where he really struggled. But here, got a solid hold of this ball, but it's going to end up being a flyout to Ian Happ. Looking like another quiet inning for us as Rodriguez goes down looking. Not a good game for our 18-year-old hitters. I'll just say that. Or really, most of our hitters, it hasn't been very good outing for them. Bruno. Speaking of not very good, he has not been hot to start this 7th. Contreras going to try to bunt forward these runners. We're going to get the guy out at 2nd, but can't quite get the double play. So, very good chance we allow the Royals to take a lead, but a nice defensive play made by Benitez. Going to keep that from happening here in the 7th. The game will be 2-2 still. Top of the 8th. We get something going here. Boyer's not going to get it going. McIntyre. Probably been our best offensive player. He has 2 hits and now a walk. Brings up Gill. McIntyre does get the stolen bag safely, his 8th of the season. But Gill cannot advance him as he's going to go down looking. Way too many strikeouts today from our squad. Arias, been a problem for us. Has walked a couple times. Now he gets that through the infield. So 1 on with no one down here in the 8th. And then he was pinch run for. And that's going to be a steal by Garcia. So the pinch runner, looks like it's a good decision by the Royals on their end. Then we walk Ian Happ. 2 on, no down. This has got to be the inning that we give up the lead, right? But Bruno responds well with the strikeout on Pascantino. Bobby Witt up next. Very hittable pitch, and we got lucky there that it will be out into foul territory for Sandoval. 2 outs now, bottom of the 8th. Can Fernando Bruno get himself out of the jam? And he can. Kind of lost the ability to commentate for the last 2 innings. Don't know what's going on, but top of the ninth. Our last opportunity to try to win this in 9 innings. Mosqueda with 1 down. Gonna get himself a single, but then a coaching decision that maybe it was just Mosqueda going wild on his own. Don't really love that decision. He's not a guy that's going to be stealing a bag. And in the 9th, much rather have the base runner. Sandoval ends up singling in his AB, which makes it all the worse. Don't know why we sent Mosqueda there, if we're being honest. And then Roman's going to fly us out and end top of the 9th. Fernando Bruno in here for his 4th inning, trying to send this to extras. Going to get that infield fly to start us off. Bring up Contreras, who he gets on the strikeout. Just need 1 more out, and we're going to extras here. But the order flips over for the Royals, and Brandon Marsh gets this one in fair territory out in left field. Extra base hits. And the Royals are a base hit away from a walk-off victory. Nicky Lopez over for today, but he cranks this one right back above the pitcher's head. McIntyre tries to throw a home. Will not work, and will lose to the Royals with the walk-off hit in the 9th. Not, our best showing here, but that's really a good, accurate representation of the season as a whole. We're not a very good team. Losing shouldn't be surprising. Just say that. But overall, pretty good game, obviously. Tied going into the bottom of the 9th. The team showed a lot of fight, just could not finish the job here. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, and no one on. We allowed 2 base hits in a row. And that was our undoing in this one. Overall, I'd say McIntyre was probably our best player. Maybe Benitez. Benitez also had a pretty good game, and seems like in his spotlight games, he's actually been struggling lately. So glad to see him have himself a good one. But with this season now coming to a close, we are about to look at season-long stats for every player and see kind of how everyone develops. Rincon would lead us in hits this season. He'd also lead us in home runs. The only player to top 30 on this season. We'd have 3 topping 20. Gil and Sandoval were both close to that mark. And then RBIs over 100 for Rincon. Really, really good season from him hitting the ball. We'd have 5 players reach 80. Allen Evans, he did get the most steals by a pretty wide margin on the team. That's the one positive thing you could say about him. Of course, with going over stats, we will be naming our surprise and disappointments of the year. Allen Evans is the disappointing player of the year. I mean, he ended up getting benched by an 18-year-old this season, so I think that one was pretty obvious. In terms of surprise player of the year, I think it's really a tough decision. There's 2 players that I think you can talk about, and one of them is a position player, the other is a pitcher. The position player I think is Alberto Rincon. He was pretty much across the board our best hitter. Is that actually surprising though? As we see, Marty Dempsey was actually pretty good in his opportunities this year as well. It's a pretty small sample size though, less than 100 ABs. But, I mean, walked the most, highest OPS, highest home runs, highest hits, pretty much everything. Not even close. I think he was, that's 7th lowest strikeouts on the team. So that's really nice as well. So Rincon was easily our best hitter this year for sure. So that obviously puts him on the board for surprise player of the year. He already has really good potential, and he was hitting 3rd in our lineup. So is the guy hitting 3rd in your lineup being your best hitter that much of a surprise though? That's the one maybe case against him winning the award for the year. But I mean, he does have A potential, but I don't think it's all that high of an A. I think it's more mid A, so he could certainly use the +3. But let's go ahead and look at the pitchers, and we'll talk about the other guy that's up for Surprise Player of the Year, and it is the guy we just saw actually blow the game. It's Fernando Bruno, who, if you look, it's not all that great. He ended up pitching the third most innings on the team. As you can see here, we'll sort by it later, but he had the 3.5 ERA, which, if you look at everyone else on the team, is a pretty dang good ERA. Buster Pringle obviously could be in the running for Disappointment of the Year as well. I just think the case for Alden Evans was too strong. The guy had one ability on a baseball field, and he just didn't do it very well this year. Otherwise, Buster Pringle would absolutely be in the running. So tied for second best whip, best ERA, third most innings pitched for Bruno, and not even close to that great of an overall player. He's only 74 overall, which is why I think Fernando Bruno will actually be our Surprise Player of the Year, because he actually was more surprising, the fact that he's just 74 overall and he had such a strong season. He had people that I, at least personally, would have thought would have been better than him at the pitching position this year. It just didn't turn out to be true. He actually was only second in WAR from our pitchers. Polanco was good in terms of WAR, but I think Bruno was our best pitcher, was not projected to be our best pitcher, and that's the very definition of a surprise. Sandoval was by far our best guy in terms of WAR. He can't really be Surprise Player of the Year because his overall, I think, is already 98 or maybe even 99, so he can't benefit from a +3 overall. And at this point, I just expect him to be great. Benito Vasquez would be our worst WAR player. He got sent down to AA in September. Alden Evans was our only full-time starter on both offense and defense. Was the only other one, other than Vasquez with a negative WAR, so he also got benched. Our two negative WAR players got benched. Roman was just a DH. I actually thought he played pretty well up until August, when he had a really rough month of August. I actually thought he was going to be our Surprise Player of the Year. But Fernando Bruno will win the award, get +3 over, not overall, but potential. And Alden Evans will obviously lose 3 potential, as he was Disappointment of the Year. We won't be able to see the stats for our minor league players. I forget that if I don't stop before the season's end, I can't see their stats, but we can see how they developed overall wise. As you can see, I forgot to do this until the offseason because our rookies are actually on the roster, but here are the overall bumps for the guys that were in the minors this year. Torres looking really good. I think I still want to see bigger boost to hits per 9 and strikeouts per 9 before we send him up. So I don't even know if he's going to start next season, despite being a 75 overall. I mean, man, that walks per 9 being in the 80s is really tempting to have him sent up. But control in the 40s, strikeouts per 9 in the 40s, hits per 9 in the low 50s. That's a tough trio for being an MLB pitcher. I think he definitely has a chance to get the call up at some point. If we see hits per 9 in the mid 50s, if we can see strikeouts per 9 somewhere in the low to mid 50s, control reach high 40s, maybe even low 50s. That's kind of what I want to see from him before we call him up. And that could be as soon as next season. I just don't think it's going to be at the start of next season. Acevedo, of course, he did get the call up. Home runs per 9 still very much so a concern, and walks per 9 aren't great for his, simming abilities, but I like what we saw from Esteban Acevedo, and I think he will start next season on the MLB roster. Definitely at least give him spring training, and if he doesn't perform super poorly there, he will be making the opening night MLB roster. And then Diego Moya, other high ceiling pitcher there, that's close to being able to make it. Ray Beasley in the outfield. Looking like honestly really close to Alden Evans, which is not very much praise after we saw what he did. Just because Alden Evans didn't work out, though, doesn't mean a guy with similar skill set isn't going to work out as well. So Ray Beasley probably going to get a call up at some point next season, especially if a guy like Chet Rodriguez struggles. Yankees would end up winning the World Series this season. We were obviously not even in the playoffs. I think we had the 6th worst record in the league. And with the draft-only franchise, not a lot happened in the offseason. Our biggest acquisition is going to be Tom Williamson being added to the team. Of course, the generational pitcher that we took just a few episodes ago. And I'm very excited. Not going to start him off on the MLB roster. I think we'll at least make sure he's dominating AA. And if he is, though, I can absolutely see him being added to the MLB roster at some point during his age 18 season. And then the other big thing that we're doing here in this offseason, didn't even sign any UDFAs because our roster was only full. I'm giving 3 players big deals. Pretty much everyone else on the roster got the 1 or 2 year, less than $1 million a year deal. We gave 3 players long-term deals. Our big 3 kind of Sandoval, Rincon, and Mosqueda, the 3 guys that have been the best players on our team for the entirety since they were drafted. Those are the guys that we're committing to long term. We're going to end off this episode just showing where some of the bigger names went around the league. And that will be the last thing that we do. MJ Melendez just took us yard this episode, and he's out of that Royals roster. But that's all I've got for this episode. We'll be starting Season 7 here soon, and I will see you then.